A few weeks ago, I started the restoration on this beautiful Emerson DP-332 from 1940. The radio has two bands, the first being the broadcast band, which is 540 to 1730 kilocycles. That's selectable on the back with a band select switch. The broadcast band or AM band is turned clockwise. The shortwave is counterclockwise. The shortwave operation is 5.6 to 18 megacycles. The radio has 6 tubes, including a ballast tube, which we elected to bypass using a diode and a power resistor, and I'll show that circuit in just a moment. As you can see in the video, the paper and wax capacitors, including the electrolytic capacitors, are in bad shape, so time was spent replacing all capacitors, excluding just a few mica capacitors that tested good. As you can see, the top of the chassis is covered with many years of dirt, dust, and also rust. I actually removed the tuning capacitor completely from the circuit and soaked it in evaporust for 1 day, and then put it through the ultrasonic cleaner on about 8 or 10 cycles just to cut through the crud that was on it. You'll notice on the top of the chassis there's a 4-pin tube socket installed. The 9-pin octal tube socket has been removed, and it was the tube socket that should have housed the L42 Baker ballast tube. But evidently at some point in time in its history, someone had started modifying the chassis to replace that particular tube socket and ballast. You may have noticed that the grid wire leaving the IF can that attaches itself to the grid, a 6K7, was broken off. So I took time to open up the can and replace the wiring, and also check the resistance on the IF can while I had it apart. So it checked well and got that back together. So part of the restoration for me that I've been doing here for a while now, especially for these radios that have a heater string voltage, I'll install a CL90 thermistor device on the output side of the AC switch, and I'll also install a fuse, and in this case I've got a 1 amp slow blow, and again that's on my line input. In addition, the switch has been rewired to the hot side, feeding the 25Z6 rectifier tube. What that does with a polarized plug, assuming your wiring inside the home is correct, is keeps the chassis from being hot. I had mentioned earlier that the ballast tube had been circuit had been replaced with a diode. As you can see in the picture, I have a 1N5408 rectifier installed, and on the output side of the rectifier I've got a 5 ohm 5 watt resistor. The output side of that resistor feeds the heater circuit. In addition, the pilot light has been moved to the string as well. And that's just so I could actually reduce the current flow and the wattage requirement for the resistor. So the circuit was modified on the output side of the 6SQ7 to loop that through in series with the pilot light back to ground. I also have a selenium diode across the pilot light just to keep the voltage down on that device so we don't blow the pilot light out. Here's a quick look at the chassis after performing the cleaning. As you can see, it turned out nice. So let's listen to the radio playing.
The notepads are a great way to help keep you and your doctor on the same page.
All of Chinese wine were put side by side, and they were surprised by it.
putting in your coat.
Eileen, and she looks at it and says, "Oh, it's lovely." You say,
And that's because we just don't like to think about it. As humans, we don't like to think about it.
"Hey, this
No lo digo yo.
More that you have that's left over and build."
The U.S. stock market is the only game in town. Now,
Que hacer en la obra del Señor y todo.
It's my talent to see what I'm capable of doing.
Bruise bodies and really into your own bodies and what to truly look for when it comes.
some clients that basically.
I feel bad for all the, I mean, it's just like you feel bad because you go to the store and you see what's attracting parents, you know, to buy for their kids for the sports stuff. And it's like we're trying to cheer on our kids at sports and then we're giving them chemicals afterwards.
Yeah. And, you know, you think about things like sports, that's something that we're doing that we want to, like, really get kids healthy. And that's an activity and all those kinds of.
Thanks for checking out the video. Again, this was a restoration of a Emerson DP-332 1940 radio.